Okay, so let's talk about problems like 3.2, number 3, where they involve the derivative of the inverse of a function. So here's the basic idea. We have a function, let's say f, and we know that that function is related to its derivative, right? And we also know that some functions, ones that have inverses, are related to their inverses, and also that the derivative of an inverse function is related to the inverse function. Now, this is where we want to go, but let's say that we don't want to go from the function to the inverse of the function and then find the derivative of that. So what we're going to do is have an alternate path. We're going to go from the function to the derivative of the actual function, and then to the derivative of the inverse function without ever finding f inverse. And this connection right here is the reciprocal of the slope of the tangent line. So let's do an example and see how that works. So let's suppose we have f of x equals 8 over x minus 7, where x is bigger than 7. What we want is the derivative of the inverse function at 2. So how are we going to do that? So in this diagram we looked at earlier, we're down in this corner here, and what we want is the derivative of the inverse at 2, and we want it to go from the function to the derivative of the function, and then somehow get to the derivative of the inverse. So, step 1. Let's go ahead and graph the function f. So in this case, it looks something like this. So this is f of x equals 8 over x minus 7. Here's the value 2 that we were given. Step 1 is to find out what value of x maps on to 2. So what value do I plug into my original function so that the output is 2? Well, if I had 8 over 11 minus 7, that would be 8 over 4, and that equals 2. So that means that this value right here is 11. Okay, so now what do we do? Well, step 2, let's go back and redraw the picture here. This is the function f of x equals 8 over x minus 7. This is the 2 that we were given. This is the 11 that we found. The next step is to find what is the slope of the original function, the slope of the tangent line of the original function at x equal to 11. So this tangent line here, we want to know what is its slope. Well, this is the kind of problem we've been doing before, right? So we need f prime at 11. Well, in this case, f of x is, and I'm just going to rewrite it here as a power, 8 times x minus 7 to the minus 1 power. So f prime of x is going to be negative 8 over x minus 7 squared. So that means that f prime of 11 is negative 8 over 11 minus 7 squared, which is just negative 1/2. So that means that the slope of this tangent line right here of my original function at x equal to 11 is negative 1/2. Now finally, step 3. Now, let's look at our picture again. This is our function f of x. This is 2, this is 11, and this tangent line right here we just found has a slope of negative 1/2, right? So the derivative of our original function at 11 is negative 1/2. The theorem tells us that the derivative of the inverse function at 2, which is what we had wanted, is just the reciprocal of that the tangent line slope that we just found. So in this case, it would be negative 2 over 1, or negative 2. So this would be the answer in that second box in WebLearn. So this would be step 3. So why does that work? Why is it the reciprocal? So if you take a square sheet of paper and you graph the function f of x, the original function, which in our case was 8 over x minus 7, okay? And we put this point on there, 2, and we found 11, and that tangent line, remember, had a slope of negative 1/2. Now, to find the picture the inverse of the function, take your piece of paper, take the upper left corner, fold it down to the bottom right corner, and then open it up backwards. You'll see a pale reflection of a graph here. This is the graph of f inverse. Now my 2 that used to be over here on the y-axis is here on the x-axis. So now this is 2. And my 11 that used to be on the x-axis is now on the y-axis. So 11 is now here. And this tangent line right here has a slope of f inverse, the derivative at 2, right? This slope right here is just the reciprocal of what that slope was on the other side of the paper. On the other side of the paper, the slope of the function at 11 was negative 1/2. So this line right here, this tangent line, has a slope of negative 2.